Okay, geometry. This is from the Chapter 11, Section number 2 worksheet. These were these really tough problems with the 1/2 apothem perimeter. So I'm making a video of numbers 5 and 6 in case you're having trouble with these. On number 5, what is the area of a regular decagon? Decagon is 10 sides with a side of 12 centimeters. Okay, our formula, again, for the area of any regular polygon is 1/2 apothem times perimeter. Well, if we look at this one, it's not the worst case scenario. Since it gives me the side length of 12, well, I know that the perimeter of this object is just 12 times 10. So that's going to be 120. So I've got half of what I need already. The difficult part is going to be finding out what the apothem is. This is going to be the difficult part. Okay, so now it's a decagon. I'm going to draw the full decagon, but again, you won't be drawing the whole thing. You're just going to want to draw the triangle that I draw in a second. Okay, so there's what a decagon looks like. But again, all we really care about is from the center of the decagon, this little right triangle here. And that dotted line is the apothem. Now, since the side of the decagon is 12, that means this whole thing down here is 12. This little piece here has to be 6. Now, as far as the angle in here, we had a way that we figured this out. Again, don't draw this part because this would be a little bit cumbersome. But if we look at this decagon in its entirety, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 triangles and with 10 central angles. So remember, here's what we did. We said, okay, well, the angle around all of these central angles would be 360. That's always going to be that way. Since it's a decagon, we know there's 10 of those angles, so we divide by 10. That gives us 36 degrees. That tells us what one of these entire central angles is. Well, this little black angle that I have, though, is only half of that. So I divide 36 by 2, and I get 18 degrees. That is the angle of this little black angle here. That's the angle, 18 degrees. Okay, so now I can make a trig problem to solve for this. From the 18 degrees, the 6 that I have down here is opposite. The apothem is adjacent. So I can make a trig using tangent. So I would say tan of 18 degrees equals opposite, which is 6, over adjacent, which is a. Now, if I put this over 1 and do my cross multiplying, I get a times the tan of 18 degrees equals 6. 1 times 6 is 6. The a is not by itself yet, so I have to divide by the tan of 18 on both sides. And so now I have a equals whatever this is. This is what you would put in your calculator. And when you do that, I've already done it, you get about, looks like 18.466. That is the apothem. So again, back up to this top right here. The apothem is about 18.466. I still have the 1/2 out in front. So now the very last part is just multiply all this stuff together, and your final area is about 1,108 really about 0.0 when you round it, centimeters squared. There's the area of the decagon. Okay, on number 6, this one's a worst case scenario. And again, the reason it's a worst case scenario is because I tell you the radius. In your formula, 1/2 apothem perimeter, the radius is not in there anywhere. So this one, we're going to have to do a lot of work. Again, don't worry about drawing the entire shape. I'm just going to do it so you can get a point of reference. But there's a nonagon, 9-sided. And it gives us the radius this time. So if I draw from my center, again, this is what you would care about. from the center down to one side, that is the 10 feet. This dotted line is the apothem again. And now again, I still have to do the angle thing like I did on the previous one. There will be 9 central angles, one going to each side, on this nonagon. So again, the rotation around all of these would be 360 degrees. So I do 360 divided by 9. And let's see, what is that? That looks like that is 40. But again, for my reference, I want this little black angle here. So if I divide 40 by 2, I get 20 degrees. That's the angle in the right triangle that I actually care about. Okay, now I have to find the apothem, and I have to find the perimeter. We'll do the apothem first. That's the apothem. I have to use trig again. The apothem is adjacent. The 10 is is hypotenuse. So I'm going to use cosine. So this would be cosine of 20 degrees equals adjacent, the apothem, over hypotenuse, which is 10. When I put this over 1 and cross multiply, this one works out kind of nice. I end up just with 10 times the cosine of 20 degrees equals A. So I put that in my calculator, and I end up getting an apothem of about 9.397. So back up in my formula, I have the 1/2. The apothem is about 9.397. Okay, so I've got half of what I need. Now I still need to get the perimeter. Here's going to be the logic, and we did this in class. It's a little bit confusing, obviously. Most of the stuff on this section is. But here's going to be what my idea. I'm going to figure out what this length is. And then I'm going to multiply that length, that pink length, by 2. So that'll tell me what the entire side is. And then I'm going to multiply that number by 9 to get the entire perimeter. Okay, so but first thing is figure out what the heck that little length is. I'll call it x. This is another trig problem. I'm going to use sine this time. So this would be the sine of 20 equals opposite over hypotenuse, x over 10. When I put that over 1 and cross multiply, I end up with 10 times the sine of 20 equals x. When you put this in your calculator, you end up getting x to be somewhere around 3.42. But again, remember, that is not the perimeter. That is simply half of one side. So again, I have to multiply that number by 2 to get the entire side. And then I have to multiply that by 9 to get the entire perimeter around this nonagon. That'll give me the entire perimeter. When you do all that in your calculator, you get a perimeter of about 61.5636. And now all of this stuff together, multiplied in your calculator, will actually get you your area. And you end up finally with an area of 289.3 feet squared. And there's your area on number 6. Hopefully this will help a little bit. We have a quiz on Tuesday for periods 4 and 6. This will be on there. And that quiz is on Wednesday for period 1.